School, friendships, dating, sexual orientation, all very big issues our kids deal with on a daily basis. Mental health issues in adolescents and teens may be more common than you might think, but doctors say parents need to be aware, not scared, in what can be terrifying situations.
It's Milo.
Brittany Hawkins loves her new kitten. She's a typical 15-year-old girl who's been through hell.
They would call me a gorilla. They would say I'm real big. They would call me like Fat Albert and stuff. At one point they were throwing bananas at me, saying, "Oh, look, it's a big black gorilla." And at one time they pushed me down and they were just like, "Let's see you get up," because I hear fat people can't get up and stuff like that.
Brittany says it started in 5th grade and quickly went from hateful words to physical violence. She says the torment lasted years.
I think it was the fact that it was constant. And you constantly hear something. It takes a toll on your mind and your body.
Dr. Toby Martinez says sadly what Brittany went through isn't uncommon. As a psychiatrist at Children's of Alabama, he regularly sees kids dealing with bullying as well as anxiety, depression, and behavioral issues like attention deficit disorder. He says victims of bullies often become depressed.
A lot of times in children, adolescents, one of the signs of depression that we notice is irritability, being more angry, or behavioral problems.
The constant bullying pushed Brittany into a deep depression.
I didn't like myself. I was down all the time. I went to school, came home, went in my room, never came out unless it was time for dinner. I never wanted to interact with my family or anybody else.
When you think about bullying, you probably envision a child being pushed on the playground or teased in school. And while that certainly still happens, technological advances have introduced a whole new way to bully kids. Cyberbullying. It happens online. So children can be victimized by bullies, strangers thousands of miles away.
I've had patients that come to the emergency room that are depressed or suicidal. When you ask why, well, because someone from Oregon didn't like their Snapchat or commented on their Snapchat or their Instagram or said, they were ugly or didn't like them or they didn't get enough likes. And these are people they don't even know.
Brittany says kids picked on her because of her weight.
If you're overweight or if you're gay or if you just have like a different personality.
Dr. Martinez says it's important to look for patterns in your child's behavior. They may be often quiet or isolated. Their grades drop or they stop hanging out with close friends.
We notice that these patterns are affecting different parts of that child's life. Then we know that there's something going on that deserves some more investigation.
If your child is being bullied, experts say don't tell them to ignore it. Don't tell them to fight back, but do reach out to someone for help. You can start with a school counselor. Many parents believe any child being bullied or with a mental health issue should see a psychiatrist.
PERC office, how may I help you?
That's one of the reasons that we have such a long wait list to see a mental health professional, because a lot of people really don't know who to go to or who to ask for help.
The new Psychiatric Intake Response Center here at Children's of Alabama was designed to fill that gap. So a parent, a grandparent, a teacher, a nurse, any caregiver can call the PERC hotline 7 days a week and talk to a mental health professional who will then direct them to resources in their own community. And the child may not need to see a psychiatrist at all. They could be directed to a counselor, even a social worker.
Has he ever had any prior mental health history, ever seen a counselor or psychiatrist?
They now have a database of more than 600 providers who are ready to step in and help kids in need. Right now, PERC serves Jefferson, Shelby, St. Clair, Walker, and Blount counties, but they're gathering resources in other counties as well and anticipate PERC will grow to cover as many Alabama kids who need it. Brittany was one of those kids. Things got so bad for her, she started cutting herself, an unhealthy way many kids try to cope with intense emotional pain. Then in 9th grade, she took it a step further and planned her suicide.
I was going to take some pills. I can talk to my mother, my sisters, so I felt that was like my last resort, you could say.
But thankfully, Brittany was courageous enough to tell her mother about her plans before she took those pills.
We were angry, we were upset, we were just confused, and I just thought it would never happen to me or any of my kids.
At that time when you're actually going to something like that, you don't really think. It's like, well, for me, all the stuff just replayed in my head, so it's just like I wasn't thinking about anything else. I just wanted to leave.
She says she didn't think about anything except making the pain go away.
My mom would have lost a child. Now, I never want to put my mom through anything, but at the time it was like I felt that there was no other choices, which there were.
And now she knows that. Her mom took her to the emergency room where she was evaluated and then admitted into Hillcrest Psychiatric Hospital.
It was about saving her life.
At Hillcrest, Brittany met other people just like her.
Being in a room with other people that have the same experiences and just hearing their side of the stories and stuff, and us learning together coping skills, they open my eyes a lot. Just show that their words doesn't mean anything. As long as you love yourself, then that's all that matters.
She learned those coping skills in the hospital and in therapy afterwards. She survived, but she still has the physical and emotional scars from those dark days. Brittany's mother says part of the problem is the stigma that still exists about mental health issues.
In the African American community, mental issues have been swept under the rug, and I'm more open to it because I believe it exists.
Brittany was so inspired by how she turned her life around, she started a campaign called Spread Love, Not Hate. On her website, other bullying victims write about their experiences.
Talk to everybody, see how they're doing. I check up on everybody. You know, I take this as not an organization, it's something personal to me.
Now Brittany has advice for any kid who feels bullied, depressed, or hopeless.
Go talk to a teacher or a counselor or something. If they don't help out, then talk to your parents. That's a big thing. A lot of kids are afraid to talk to their parents or an adult because they may feel like they won't help, or they just feel like it won't get any better, but it will.
She's living her life with a new sense of purpose and a new attitude.
Now, because my eye has been opened more about myself and how I want to live and how I've come to terms with myself, it's like it doesn't take a toll on me anymore. I don't want to grow up too fast. I just want to live in the moment.
Brittany's story has a happy ending, but it has not been an easy road for her or her family. Embracing the problem and realizing they needed help dealing with it really made all the difference.